I'm Brandon Humphrey, and this is my informative speech on the history of baseball, and this is my audience. So, like I told them, I'm going to do a speech on the history of baseball. So, the game of baseball is considered America's sport. Why is it considered America's sport? It's kind of more of an opinion question, I believe. I think it's America's sport because it goes way back when in history. Like, back then, like when colonies were being established, baseball was still kind of like coming into play. Like, people didn't know of the game, but also like it was more of like getting known, like out, like it was the word around town, I guess. So the game of baseball, what's in it? There's 9 innings. There's no time limit, which is a pretty good thing. Usually in most sports there's a time limit. Like in basketball, there's 2 periods. In college, in the NBA, there's 4 periods. So there's a time limit. And obviously, there's an ultimate winner. And I kind of feel like in baseball, you set your own destiny because it's a time. You have no time limit on it, so you can do whatever you want within the game. That can change situations. Another reason why I think it's America's sport is because all Americans have responsibilities, and in baseball, you have an individual responsibility. Like as a pitcher, you have the responsibility of throwing the ball in. As a shortstop, you have a responsibility of covering your own area, just like a second baseman, and so on and so forth. So the first ever baseball game played was in Britain. Almost all the same rules were used in that game are used today. There's not a lot of rules that have changed in the game. Unlike obviously steroids and other things like coming into play, such as like reviewing catches or reviewing if someone was safe or not at first or second or third or home. So those rules were established by a guy named Alexander Cartwright. These rules were written in 1845, and the game was played on the first game was played on June 19th, 1846. This game was a matchup between the New York 9 and the Knickerbockers. It's kind of funny, but the first game was pretty much a butt whooping. The New York 9s ended up winning 23 runs to the Knickerbockers 1 run. After this game was played, Cartwright was considered the creator of baseball, and that's pretty much what his name is. Like, his name's out to be the creator of baseball. Because of how popular the game became, there was a sense of urgency to get the same popularity for people to come to the games. So there had to be something done. The first professional baseball team ever created was in 1869, and it's kind of ironic, but it was Cincinnati, and their name was the Cincinnati Red Stockings. After establishing the first MLB team, there had to be more teams established, so there were other teams established, such as the Boston Red Stockings, the Chicago White Stockings, the New York Mutuals, and so on and so forth. Baseball became so popular that betting on games and betting on players became really popular. Like gamblers would go to games and gamble on who would win or not, or if someone had more hits than another player on the other team. And it just became so widespread that betting on baseball kind of became, I guess, ideal, So the first team that was ever caught betting on a game were the Chicago White Stockings, and it was in the first World Series ever played. They pretty much threw games so that they could make money for themselves off of people that were in attendance or even on gamblers. As you guys know, Pete Rose, who's one of the best in the game, he was caught cheating. He was also betting on games. He was throwing games, and he's one of the most known baseball players to ever play the game. It's kind of a shame because he was caught doing this, and because of it, he pretty much will never be in the Hall of Fame, even though he should be. So there were eras in baseball. In the 1920s, it was known as the Golden Age. It was known as the Golden Age because baseball was up and coming. It was really popular. People were starting to hear about it, and the reason why people were starting to hear about it was because in the 1920s, radios were also created in newspapers. So when a team was playing or when a team won, it was either posted on the radio or it was written out into a newspaper, and that's why it became so popular. Also in the 1920s, Babe Ruth, who is pretty much one of the most significant baseball players that ever played the game, was in that era. And during that era, he had multiple home runs, which kind of made him unique, and it allowed him to be a person to look up to. The next age was the contemporary age. This was the age of pretty much free agency. So free agency is when someone's under contract and their contract is up. That means they're a free agent, so they're able to get signed again with another team. The next age, which is the age of the next age, which is it was in the 1990s. It's known as the steroid age because this is when people started to become familiar with steroids, and taking steroids and enhance their ability at the plate or even out on the field. It kind of made them have an edge over themselves. And some known players that were caught in this age were Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire. In conclusion, like I said, baseball is one of the most popular sports out there, and it's considered America's sport just because of how way back it goes in history. And it's evolved so much from where it's first created, and it's pretty much been so popular. It's been so popular out there today. Thank you.